Our story today brings in people from the Unsubscribed podcast, like Angry Cops and the Fat Electrician. It also brings in Donut Operator, and then strangely enough, it brings in Phil Labonte from Timcast. Somehow they've all come together to get into a little bit of a spat on Twitter with this guy here, Brian Shapiro from the Pushing the Limits show, which I guess is a radio talk show, but also publishes stuff on YouTube. And essentially what happened was Phil Labonte kind of instigated the entire thing. You see, Phil watched a debate that this guy, Brian Shapiro, had done with Andrew Wilson, and noted particularly that Brian Shapiro seemed to take issue with Myron Gaines' breakdown of the ICE shooting of Preddy, which was the incident that happened in Minnesota a little while ago now, which I've been meaning to make a video about, but I've been waiting for more information to come out, and every time more information comes out, the whole situation gets crazier and crazier. But essentially, Phil Labonte's asking, if you don't agree with Myron Gaines, do you agree with Angry Cops? And this is not really that much of an inflammatory tweet, right? But for some reason, this Brian guy did not like it. He responded to this taking great offense that Phil Labonte would question his take on the Preddy shooting. So if we go here, we can actually see what he said. He said, a YouTuber clown, that's right, he's calling Angry Cops a YouTuber clown, looking for clicks does not grab me. I suffered through that video where this guy doesn't even mention de-escalation tactics, walking behind and front of the vehicle, leaving the scene with the weapon, etc. Doesn't even mention it. You could find a few so-called geography majors who also believe the earth is flat. I'm gonna stay away from YouTuber clickbait videos and Holocaust deniers. Very credible stuff. I'll stick to the overwhelming majority of the current and former law enforcement who are not bigots and racist Jew haters, and those who are looking for clickbait on YouTube. That grabs me. So yeah, he was really mad about this, right? I don't think that that's a proportional response. I really don't feel like Phil's tweet here was that bad, but this guy really didn't like it, and apparently he hates Angry Cops for some reason. Now, Angry Cops actually responded. If we go here, we'll see. He said, I've been employed as a police officer in gang units, housing projects units, traffic units, taught in the police academy, was a FEMA-trained platoon leader for a riot squad during the George Floyd riots, a shift supervisor, and a detective attached to the FBI and now SVU. What in that makes me a YouTuber clown? And that's a good question, right? Because if you're going to boil down Angry Cops and everything that he's done, right, his entire career, where he is still currently a police officer, by the way, him being a YouTuber clown, doesn't that mean that Brian is one too? I mean, he clearly has a YouTube channel, as we'll get to in a minute. I mean, he clearly has a YouTube channel, and the Fat Electrician jumped in to point that out. He said, MFer has 5,600 YouTube videos, averaging less than 1,000 views per video on his channel, and is calling Angry Cops a YouTuber like it's a slur. If being a YouTuber is a bad thing, why are you trying so hard to be one? And yeah, and so I went to look into it, and I have to agree with the Fat Electrician. I mean, this guy posts a lot. If we actually just look at the ones from today, you'll see here, this one's dated 1 day ago. This one's 11 hours, 11 hours, 11 hours, and then it goes all the way up to here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos in 1 day. The guy's got 160,000 subscribers, which good for him, but he's averaging less views than my channel is at this point. And I don't even have 10,000 subscribers. So the viewer count is a little bit weird, although to be fair, I think that's probably normal for somebody who posts 11 videos a day. I don't think that every subscriber is clicking on every one of your videos. If you upload more than 3 videos a day, YouTube doesn't actually push your videos. So maybe this guy just needs to go to a YouTube course or something. But anyway, I think the Fat Electrician is right to point this out, because obviously this guy takes offense that Angry Cops is a YouTuber, when in reality he himself could also be described as a YouTuber if you want to ignore his radio show, which I believe is his primary thing. So by ignoring Angry Cop's primary job as a police officer, he's doing the same thing, right? If you ignore their primary jobs, they're both YouTubers. And there's nothing wrong with being a YouTuber. As a YouTuber myself, I can say it's fun. In fact, I'd encourage you guys to become YouTubers if you want to. So yeah, it's a little bit hypocritical for him to call Angry Cops a YouTuber. Fat Electrician is correct. Angry Cops responded to the Fat Electrician's post saying, I thought YouTubers were cool. It hurts my feelings that I'm not cool anymore. And now I may be biased, but I think YouTubers are pretty cool. He then retweeted the post by Brian Shapiro saying, this man thinks I'm a YouTuber clown. So obviously Angry Cops not happy about being called a YouTuber clown, because it doesn't really make sense as an insult. If anything, being a YouTuber as successful as Angry Cops is like a career boost, you know? But that's besides the point. Amongst this all happening, Brian Shapiro tweeted back out, retweeting the tweet that Phil Labonte had posted, and said, I've offered Angry Cops the opportunity to debate a 30-year Vegas lieutenant in studio. Let's see if he's willing to do it, or continue to make funny YouTube videos for profit. Trying to imply that Angry Cops is greedy and only does his videos for profit, which, I mean, the profit's nice, but I feel like he probably doesn't exactly need it, considering he's like a super successful police officer. But that's besides the point. Angry Cops responds and says, the lieutenant didn't call me out, you did. Why would you have someone else talk to me? And that's a good point. This guy's offering to have a 30-year Vegas lieutenant debate Angry Cops. Why wouldn't he just debate him himself? It doesn't make sense to involve somebody else, except this is called an appeal to authority, because he's appealing to somebody who he thinks has more authority than Angry Cops. And that, my friends, is what we in the business call a logical fallacy. And obviously it's a logical fallacy because you can say this 30-year police lieutenant has experience and you can compare his time in the industry to the time that Angry Cops has been in the industry, but you can't compare their experience, right? We don't know what this random guy's experience is. We know Angry Cops has a pretty extensive experience and probably more than most people who've been in the force for 30 years. I mean, the guy's worked with the FBI and SVU. He was a FEMA trained platoon leader for a riot squad. He taught in the police academy. You can't really compare it. So obviously that is what we call a logical fallacy. Now, Brian then corrected himself and said, I've offered you to debate me, comma, or a 30-year police vet. Phil that remains decided to start shit as he always does and tweet at me your stuff. I didn't randomly find you. My offer stands. Happy to discuss with you. Check your DM. Phil can continue to be gay, in quotation marks. I don't know why he put that in quotes, on X if he wants to. I don't understand why this guy's crashing out so much. I mean, I'll remind you guys, this is the tweet that for some reason got him so mad. It was literally, he could have just ignored this. There's no reason for him to make a big deal out of this. He could have ignored it, gone about his day, and nothing would have happened. I really don't understand why this tweet got under his skin so much. Anyway, the fat electrician responded saying, Phil that remains right now watching you take the bait. And that's true because, quite frankly, I don't even think this is good bait, but somehow it completely baited Brian Shapiro into a massive response for no reason. Anyway, Donut Operator responded to this and said, you sound shook. And I think he does. He definitely sounds a little angry about what was going on here. To which Brian Shapiro retweeted Donut Operator and said, you sound like you eat too many donuts. So shook that I invited him in studio to either debate me or a veteran cop or culture war. Quotation mark. Shook. Is this supposed to be a clever remark? The Donut Operator's name is Donut Operator. It's not insulting to say he eats too many donuts, but also the donut thing implies that he's a police officer, which means based on your appeal to authority earlier, that, my friends, I would say is ironic because obviously you could do the appeal to authority thing again here with Donut Operator and pretend that he's entirely correct about Brian being shook simply because of the logical fallacy that Brian did earlier. Now, I won't say that Donut Operator is 100% correct that this guy's shook. I think really he's just very annoyed and probably didn't have anything better to do because this is kind of a ridiculous response for what actually happened. That being said, he didn't stop. He was still crashing out about it because the fat electrician responded and said, crazy thought, what if you debate him? You know, since you called him out, you're the guy in the friend group that talks a bunch of shit at the bar. Then when someone actually stands up to you, you run to your buddies to fight for you. Now, this was not something that Brian liked because he retweeted it and said, I have already sent him a DM inviting him in studio for a debate, dumbass. And the fat electrician says, let's assume you're telling the truth, which I think he probably is because of his response here. But that being said, he made this response here saying that Angry Cops could debate him. That was posted at 11:59 p.m., whereas the fat electrician posted his at 11:20 p.m. So there really isn't a way for the fat electrician to have known what was in the DMs because nobody had said anything about it publicly yet. So anyway, I think the fat electrician is very correct here when he says there's absolutely no way that he could possibly know what DMs he sent. He said, how the F am I the dumbass for not knowing what DMs you supposedly sent? I'm so sorry. I assumed you wanted him to debate a cop on your behalf because that's what you publicly offered. And that's true. And I think that this person here gives him some good advice when they say, just stop digging. Because for some reason, this guy responded so badly, he's dug himself into a hole and now he's just in a massive Twitter argument for no reason. He's just another triggered Twitter liberal. I really don't understand why people do this. Like sometimes I like to do a little trolling on Twitter, but apparently I got much to learn because Phil rage baited this guy in such a simple and easy tweet that, you know, maybe I get to learn from the master. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you believe somehow that this guy was in the right for his little argument? Or do you think that Angry Cops, the fat electrician, Donut Operator, Phil Labonte, and everybody else is in the right? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Remember to like and subscribe. You have a great day, and God bless you.